Hey, I'm Nicky Flash, just chilling here with some of my Lax Bros. Got my boy T-Dog and C-Raw. My boy J Bones doing the filming. We're gonna show you what it means to be ultimate Lax Bros. And that's about it. As a Lax Bro, we pick on nerds on the school. We don't accept kids doing functional activity analysis. While they're doing it at school, I'm out there living it.
Go.
In our functional activity, we will be looking at the motions of passing a lacrosse ball. We will be examining bringing the ball back as phase 1, passing the ball as phase 2, and catching the ball as phase 3. By looking at the specific joints of the upper extremity, including the shoulder girdle, shoulder joint, elbow joint, wrist joint, and hand joint, we can examine the muscles that will be contracting to accomplish these tasks.
To begin, there are 3 cardinal planes that divide the body: the frontal, the sagittal, and the transverse. Flexion and extension occurs in the sagittal plane around the frontal axis. At the shoulder, elbow, wrist, and finger joints. Abduction and adduction occurs in the frontal plane around the sagittal axis at the shoulder, wrists, and fingers. The scapula also moves in this plane, but is non-axial. Horizontal abduction/adduction occurs in the transverse plane around the vertical axis at the shoulder joint. Also, rotation of the shoulder joint as well as pronation and supination of the forearm occur in the transverse plane. Phase 1 is bringing the ball back to pass. In this motion, the scapula is retracted and slightly rotated upwards. Retraction is caused by the middle trapezius and rhomboids contracting concentrically. Upward rotation occurs when the upper and lower trapezius and serratus anterior contract concentrically as well. The shoulder joint is laterally rotated, flexing, and horizontally abducted. Lateral rotation is caused by the infraspinatus, teres minor, posterior deltoid concentrically contraction. The horizontal abduction occurs by the posterior deltoid, infraspinatus, teres minor, concentrically contracting, and flexion occurs from the anterior deltoid, pectoralis major, contracting concentrically. The elbow is flexed, and flexion is caused by the biceps, brachialis, and brachioradialis contracting concentrically. The forearm is pronated. Pronation is caused by the pronator teres, pronator quadratus contracting isometrically. The wrist is extended by the extensors concentrically contracting of the extensor carpi radialis longus and brevis, extensor carpi ulnaris. The fingers are also flexed and the thumb is adducted. The finger flexion is due to the lumbricals, flexor digitorum superficialis, flexor digitorum profundus, all isometrically contracting, and the thumb is adducted due to the abductor pollicis, which is isometrically contracting.
The scapula protracts forward and some slight downward rotation occurs. Protraction is caused by the serratus anterior and the pectoralis major concentrically contracting. Downward rotation occurs by the rhomboids, levator scapula, pectoralis minor, and they are also concentrically contracting. The shoulder is horizontally adducted, extended, medially rotated. Horizontal adduction occurs through the pectoralis major, anterior deltoid, both are concentrically contracting. Extension occurs through the posterior deltoid, latissimus dorsi, the teres major, pectoralis major, and those two are also concentrically contracting. Last, medial rotation occurs through the latissimus dorsi, teres major, subscapularis, pectoralis major, anterior deltoid, and those two are also concentrically contracting. Also, slight eccentric extension in opposite arm of posterior deltoid, latissimus dorsi, teres major, and pectoralis major. The elbow extends. Extension occurs through the tricep muscles concentrically contracting. Opposite arm slightly eccentric flexion through biceps, brachialis, and brachioradialis through eccentrically contracting. Forearm is pronated. Pronation occurs through pronator teres and pronator quadratus, both isometrically contracting. Wrist is flexed and ulnar deviated. Flexors are the flexor carpi radialis, flexor carpi ulnaris, and both of these are concentrically contracting. Fingers are contracted through flexion, and the thumb is contracted through adduction. The finger flexors are the lumbricals, flexor digitorum superficialis and flexor digitorum profundus. These are isometrically contracting, as well as the thumb adductors through the abductor pollicis, isometrically contracting. The shoulder girdle is stabilized by the protractors. The protractors are the serratus anterior and the pectoralis minor contracting isometrically. The shoulder joint is stabilized by the flexors. These flexors are the anterior deltoid, pectoralis major, contracting isometrically. The elbow is flexing with an eccentric contraction of the triceps. The forearm is pronated by the pronator teres and pronator quadratus, contracting isometrically. The wrist is radial deviated and slightly extended. This is an eccentric contraction of the radial deviators. The radial deviators are the flexi carpi radialis and extensor carpi radialis longus. The fingers are in flexion and the thumb is adducted. The finger flexors are the lumbricals, flexor digitorum superficialis, flexor digitorum profundus, contracting isometrically. The thumb adductors are the adductor pollicis longus, contracting isometrically.